is where MAGA comes to talk. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, don't believe these stories that the ceasefire's off. I mean, give me a break. We'll cover all that when we go live in just a few minutes. Okay. If you're new to the program, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'm still just setting up here. We'll be live in a few minutes. Okay. If you want to call in, please do, but the show has not started yet. So if you're on hold, hang in there. You'll be first up when we start taking calls. The number is toll-free, no matter where you're located. Okay. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. We'll be live in a few minutes. Yes, yes. Stand by if you're on hold. Mm-hmm. What the heck? Oh. I get it. Call is on hold. Stand by. Really? Okay. I'm just still setting up over here, guys. Just give me a minute. There we go. Oh, perfect. Great. I was having some technical issues and I just worked it out. That's why I always get everything set up before the show. Don't tell me that. Okay. Great. We just have a few minutes left and we'll be live. We had a major technical issue this morning, but I got it worked out. Welcome one and all. The war, don't believe that the ceasefire been broken story, okay? They want that, anything for Trump to fail. Mm-hmm. If you're on hold, hang in there. Okay. Talking to Mike the board. I will be live in 2 minutes. If you want to, I'll answer questions when you call me on the air. The toll-free number is in the chat. We'll be live in about 90 seconds. You call me on the show, I'll answer your questions. Mm-hmm. A little more than a minute. It's cowardly not to call, is what I would say. But I'm glad to answer any of your questions when you call me. It's a toll-free number. Mm-hmm. Got about 30 seconds or so. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig, and you are listening to the longest-running radio show in the state of Florida, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. All right, we've got a lot to cover, a lot to get into, and boy, oh boy, we are going to do it. President Trump has done what everyone said was not possible. He ended this 12-day war in 2 days. And what's happened over the last couple of days is phenomenal. Don't believe what you're seeing in the news that the ceasefire has been breached, okay? We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But President Trump, on Saturday, he bombed the nuclear facility in Iran, destroyed it. And then, you know, he addressed the nation around 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then after I watched him, I went to bed. And then Sunday, all day and night Sunday, you heard Never Trumpers, you heard Democrats and other lunatics calling Trump a war criminal. He didn't get permission from Congress, all that regular nonsense. Oh yeah, he's going to start the Third World War. Remember Iraq? Remember all this? What is he doing? We said no new wars. We voted for America first. What's going on here? And then Monday, the rhetoric continued Monday. And then, this is yesterday, and then we hear that there was another bombing by the United States, by President Trump on the facility. And what we found out was the first bombing destroyed the facility. The second bombing yesterday was to destroy the area around it, the infrastructure, the roads, so that it couldn't be rebuilt. And then by Monday afternoon, what do we get late in the afternoon? The ceasefire. The war is over. And Trump so he ended a war in about 48 hours. And then he branded the war and gave it its name. The 12-day war is over. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. If he doesn't get the Nobel Peace Prize for that, he's not going to get it for anything. And the record that he broke here is absolutely amazing. You know, I talked about this, those of you who follow me on YouTube, which you all should, Brian Craig Show on YouTube. Sunday morning, I was talking on YouTube. I said, you know, President Trump, what he's done here is he's redefined how America fights wars. There's no need for this boots on the ground, fighting like it's the Second World War. like in Afghanistan and Iraq. We have massive military might, conventional weapons that are incredibly powerful, technology that even we couldn't comprehend in our modern world if it was explained to us in some instances. And he is redefining the way America wages war. And then we saw it. Boom. 48 hours, he ended the 12-day war. Now, I know you're going to, I know there's been some action over there, and the media is getting all excited. The Never-Trumpers, they're getting all giddy. Oh, the war's not over. Look, hear the excitement in these rockets that are going off? Hear the excitement? These people are sick. President Trump has stopped people from dying in the Middle East with this ceasefire. And because there's some rockets going off, the left and the Never-Trumpers, I've never seen them so excited. It's easy for them when they're here in the United States. So what's going on here with the ceasefire? Well, it's developing and we're following it. We don't have all the answers, but we have some common sense. First of all, it is not unusual for fighting to continue even after a war is officially over with a surrender. And that's not what we had here. We had a ceasefire. Fighting in combat after ceasefires are agreed to and surrenders are made and treaties are signed is commonplace in every military conflict. Okay? That's just the way it is. The difference here is we've never had real-time, high-definition video and incredible sound from people's cell phones like we have now. So we're seeing things that we would not usually see with what's going on with this ceasefire. So that's part of it. But look at a couple other possibilities. Look at these hardliners in this country that are ticked off. I'm going to play a clip of Mark Levin later. Mark Levin is fuming that Trump ended this war. He's fuming over it. I'm going to play it for you later. We have hardliners in this country that are upset that the war's over. You don't think they have them in Iran? Of course they do. And some of those people may be difficult to control. Now, our people here just have big mouths. But over in Iran, maybe they got access to weapon technology, trying to keep things going, some of the lunatic hardliners. But there's also rogue elements of terrorists in the region that could be doing it as well. But I do know this. President Trump has ended this 12-day war in record time. He deserves a standing ovation from everyone in the world over this. It's absolutely amazing. Now, I'll take a call or two, and there's a lot to cover with this, and your calls certainly are welcome. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Standing ovation from everyone.
You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, once.
Jeff from Maine, Brian.
Oh, Jeff, you just made it. What's up, Jeff?
I can barely hear you. I do believe Trump is doing the very best as possible, but from a biblical view, that the end times that Russia, Persia, Iran, Turkey will attack Israel. So I trust but verify, and the only way Iran will never stop trying to wipe out Israel and America. That is their goal in life. They will never stop. So we're only going to be able to stop them with the best intel between Israel and America. That's going to be continuing until the end of.
Well, I don't know. It looks like President Trump stopped everything in record time. Don't believe this ceasefire violation.
So you believe that Iran, who has vowed to wipe out Israel and America, is going to stop trying, knowing what the Bible says?
Well, first off, neither side believe in the Bible, so you can't apply biblical standards to Israel or the Iranians. And a lot of people that are Christian are almost wishing for the end times to come. Right? There's people have been saying for centuries that this is the end times, the end times. You hear that all the time from people. You know, and the Bible tells us we're never going to know. It's just going to happen.
That's right. We do not know the time, but we can see the times and seasons and the biblical prophecies being fulfilled at a rate never like before in history. But my only point is I don't trust them, and I know Trump and Netanyahu know they can't trust them, and that this is an ongoing problem. Because
I'm not Alan West.
Try a cyber attack or something like that.
What does Alan West? I mean, listen, I know Alan West. Well, how does Alan West know what they're going to do? You know, in the immediacy, they were scared to death. Their response was pathetic. Okay, they needed these nuclear weapons because obviously they're military. By the way, thanks for the call, Jeff. I appreciate the call. If you're on hold, stand by. I'm up against the break. Let me take our break on time. If you're on hold, stand by, and we'll get back to your calls, and we'll talk about all of this right after this break. Every time there's a battle of some sort in the Middle East, people start talking about it's the end times. And I get it. I understand where that comes from. But there's no way for us to know that. If you're on hold, hang in there.
Good morning, Brian.
Hey, I'm going to put you on hold. Hold on. Just waiting to hear from Mike when we're going to be back. And I just did. Okay. We'll be back in about a minute. All right, welcome back, everyone. It is Tuesday, the day after President Trump brought the 12-day war to an end. And you can even hear from the first call, we have hardliners in this country, which I'm going to put Jeff in Maine in that category. They want Iran, like, wiped out. I mean, come on. What about all those civilians there that just the other day, people were saying, don't support this regime? No. Listen, the Iranian government and the government of the United States are never going to see eye to eye. Not this current government. But what are we going to do about that? Wipe them out because they don't agree with us? I don't think so. If the hostilities can be stopped, that's that. The mission was clear from President Trump. Stop them from having the ability to make a nuclear weapon. And he's done that. All right, back to the phones we go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Brian.
What's your name?
Morning, Brian. It's Lenny from Coconut Creek.
Hey, Lenny. How you doing?
Oh, man. I'm overwhelmed with an attitude of gratitude. And it's unbelievable what has been accomplished as of yesterday.
Yeah.
This president, not only what he's done in the past 6 months, but for these past 12 days, this whole situation between Iran and Israel, and the talk of how close Iran has been, so close to obtaining, nuclear weapons, that finally we have a president that's going to go down in history that is able to, in 2 days, what happened from Saturday to the last, I think it was announced like 8 o'clock last night. It was like one of those, oh my God moments that, wow, this is a day to be proud.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Now, I know they want to tell you that Iran has violated the ceasefire because of these rockets. That's not been determined yet. Jeff was pissed. Mark Levin's pissed. Candace Owens is pissed. There's a lot of people that are upset that this war is over. And it's easy for you to be upset it's over when you're sitting here in the United States in the lap of luxury. But you hear the anger, you hear the hardliners and the anger we have in America. Even if these are Iranian weapons, that doesn't mean that the Iranian government that agreed to the ceasefire is doing it. They could have hardcore obsessed people that are upset the war's over on their side too, that they got to get under control. These are things that have to be determined.
Right. I honestly, I didn't even know until you mentioned that, they actually went in yesterday and bombed again.
There's been in the last hour or so, there's been rocket fire into Israel. We don't know where it's coming from. It could be Iran. It could be somebody else in the region that wants to keep the war going. It could be Iranians that are doing this without the authorization of the government. We don't know yet. But just because they don't see eye to eye with us doesn't mean we want to wipe out all their people and start the Third World War. I mean, I don't get this.
Right, absolutely. Because the liberals and the far left, there's nothing but money, wars. But like you mentioned, this is something that is going to go down in history. Mm-hmm. There's no president that has been able to accomplish. The United States went in so secretly, so Iran was caught literally with their head.
Well, I think they were in shock. And look at what President Trump did yesterday. President Trump, I knew when I saw on the news. By the way, Lenny, appreciate the call. When I saw on the news yesterday that there was this rocket attack going into Qatar towards our base, I knew exactly what had happened. And I was right. Just like in Trump's first term, he let the Iranians save face by sending some rockets into the desert, the same number of rockets that we dropped of bombs, right? So they could save face with their people. Trump's done that with them before. It's pretty smart. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike.
Remember
remember in the lead up to the election, he said to Caitlin Collins about the Ukraine war, I want people to stop dying. Well, here we go. This is how he gets people to stop dying. You know, think about it. From October the 7th to the time he took office, how many people died, died. Then how many people died again because of Iran, kept dying because of
Yeah,
Iran.
but see, Iran, here's the thing, Mike. Okay, with Iran. Oops, sorry about that. Prior to Trump here, we haven't had a president that has put Iran in their place for a while. Okay, there's been. I'm not saying no one's ever bombed over there, but it's almost been symbolic. President Trump brought them to their knees, and he did it pretty quickly. And no one wants Iran brought down more than Trump because they personally are trying to take him down, right? They have those assassin squads.
Right, and that's the thing. And this is, look, we know that how liberal the Peace Prize people are, the Nobel people are. We know how liberal they are. They're never going to give him the Peace Prize. They're never going to do it.
Well, we're giving it to him. All right, appreciate the call,
Yeah.
Mike. All right, take care. Mike from Louisiana. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Todd. I am calling from Pennsylvania.
All right, Todd in Pennsylvania. What's up?
So I just think, overall, I just wanted to say I think Trump supporters at the moment are very un-American.
Really? What now that's of course you're talking about me. What's un-American about those of us who support President Trump?
Okay, so first off, the narrative of Trump 2028.
Are you talking about my hat? I don't understand that question. What do you mean, do I believe in that? I don't know what that means. That's a strange.
Do you believe he should be able to run in 2028?
Yeah, I would like to amend the Constitution to do away with presidential term limits. You know, even Obama and Clinton could run again if we did that. They could run against Trump as running mates for all I care. Yeah. How's that un-American?
Amending the Constitution.
The Constitution's been amended 27 times.
Okay. What about January 6th?
I don't understand what that's got to do with anything. What about it?
Just examples of un-American instances.
I don't know. I mean, I don't understand the relevance of that.
Okay, so an attack on the Capitol.
That was not an attack.
How was it not an attack?
It was not an organized attack by MAGA people.
So when Trump ordered the MAGA people to go...
Well, that didn't happen. He didn't order people to attack anything. He said peacefully, let your voice be heard.
And is that what happened?
Yeah, except for Ashley Babbitt.
Did he instantly condemn it?
Yeah, he told people to go home. He came on television and everything.
Instantly, right?
Well, he had to know what was going on first. But yeah, he came out and said, go home.
Okay.
He came out and said, go home.
There first, but he'll send the
When he knew what was... No, excuse me. He offered to send the military to the Capitol by the thousands prior to January 6th. And Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, turned it down. He wanted to send 10,000 troops to the Capitol.
That's not true.
It is true. It's been well established and reported. And President Trump and his aides have talked about this many times. Mm-hmm.
You know what has been reported? The assault of law enforcement officers and the attempted assault on our senators and our congressmen.
I don't understand what that has to do with is this what you're going to do for the rest? No, hold on a second. For the rest of your life, anytime you're going up, a conservative does something, you're going to point to January 6th? Is that the only argument you have? I want to talk about Trump was just reelected. He won every battleground state. It was a landslide victory. He's the president of the United States now. I'm living in the now. What is Donald Trump doing today in his second term that is not great for America and Americans?
Okay. First off, I believe he's very detrimental to the VA.
To the VA? What are you, a veteran?
Affairs.
Are you a veteran?
Veterans in general.
Are you
disrespected
a
John McCain.
veteran?
My dad is a Marine.
Okay. So what is he doing to harm veterans?
He cut thousands of jobs from the VA.
How does that hurt veterans? What jobs did he cut?
How does that veterans? You think suicide hotlines for veterans aren't?
No, what he's cut back, he hasn't cut anything from veterans. What he's cut back is waste and corruption. He hasn't cut any benefits to veterans. What veteran benefit did your dad have 6 months ago that he doesn't have now?
My dad's currently fine. It's not his benefits.
Oh, okay. So what benefits did veterans have 6 months ago that they don't have now?
The ability to call suicide hotlines.
No, there's suicide hotlines everywhere. We have more suicide hotlines than ever before. That's not true, and that's not an example. That's just something you've made up.
How do you feel about the rhetoric he spoke about John McCain?
What about John McCain?
What Trump said about John McCain.
What did he say?
A war hero.
What did he say? He didn't say he wasn't a war hero. He never said that.
Yes, he did.
No.
Verbatim.
He said, I like people who don't get captured, he said.
And you're okay with that?
Yeah. And so are the American people who have elected him and reelected him. What did John McCain do that was heroic?
He served for our country and didn't dodge the draft.
Who dodged the draft?
Donald Trump.
No, he didn't dodge the draft. He didn't dodge the draft.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Nope.
Yep.
No, dodging the draft means that you go out and either you don't report when you're called up for service, right? You flee to Canada like a lot of people did, or you just don't show up and you go on the lam, or you commit some type of fraud to avoid service. President Trump didn't do either of those two things. He had a medical deferment, which a lot of people have had. That's not dodging the draft.
He was granted a 1Y medical deferment due to diagnosis of bone spurs in his heels.
If you have bone spurs, you can't be in the service. You can't march.
He was eventually reclassified.
No. You know, this is what your problem is. You're really a sad person. You just hate Trump, and you just grab onto anything you can to justify your anger. I mean, why are you a liberal Democrat? Why is a grown man in America?
I'm not.
Then what are you? What are you?
I'm an independent. I hated Biden.
And, what does that mean? An independent, so you don't take a side? Who'd you
No,
vote?
I don't need to take a side.
Oh, so who did you vote for in the last election?
I voted for Kamala.
Oh, so you are a Democrat. So you are a Democrat. I don't care what you're registered. I know you know, but you voted for Kamala Harris. You voted for a Democrat.
And I was registered Republican.
So what? What does that mean? It doesn't matter what you're registered. It matters what you do.
It means I can think on both ends of the spectrum, and I.
Well, if you could thinking and thinking clearly are two different things. Listen, I got to run for our break, but pretty sad for you. I mean, why did you vote for Kamala? Why did you vote for Kamala Harris? You said it's un-American to be MAGA. Why did you vote for Kamala Harris?
I don't believe in voting for a guy with 47 felonies.
47 felonies. Okay. He didn't mock disabled people. This is maybe you're not aware of this, okay? Because you're obsessed with Trump, so you know a lot about him. A lot of these half-truths and falsehoods and slanders.
I'm not the one wearing the MAGA gear, bro.
Oh, I'm proud to wear my MAGA gear. But are you aware?
That's obsession.
Excuse me.
That's
Excuse me.
obsession.
You said being MAGA is un-American. You voted for Kamala. Are you aware that Kamala Harris was given the nomination for President of the United States by the Democrat Party without getting one primary vote or having one primary victory? How's it American? No. That's a question, not an answer. That's a question, not an answer. Tell me how it's American to nominate a woman for President of the United States who didn't get a single vote in the primary. How's that American?
There's a whole due process to that.
No, there's no process. They just said you got the nomination. And all those people who voted for others, their votes were not counted. They didn't matter. How is it American to give someone the nomination? No. We're not talking about Trump. We're talking about Kamala. Tell me how America, excuse me, you said it is not American. Listen, I'm late for the break. Your suffering will end shortly. You said it's un-American to be MAGA. How is it American to nominate and vote for someone for president who didn't get a single vote in the primaries? Explain that to me. No, that's not an answer. That's not an answer. That's a question. All right, take care. Oh, my goodness. Cannot compute. I'm a liberal jerk. I cannot compute. I cannot answer that question. Please hang up on me. Robbie the robot here. Oh, man. I'm Brian Craig. We'll be right back. Oh, my goodness. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be back shortly, guys. Less than a minute. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. I told you that guy was a Democrat, didn't I? He'll probably call back a couple times, but oh my goodness. You know, you hear, I was talking to Steve on the air about this yesterday, then I was talking to him about it after the show. You know, we proudly say this is the longest running radio show in the state of Florida. We say that a lot because it's something to be proud of. I believe it's the longest running radio show in the United States. But that we do officially hold the title as the longest running radio show in the state of Florida. And this is a big state. This isn't Rhode Island or something. So, you know, we're proud of that. So over the decades of the Steve Kane Show, Steve and I, between the two of us, have talked to, I don't know how many thousands. And you go through these waves of different issues. OJ, Rodney King riots, 9/11, you know, Gulf War I, Iraq, all these different eras, right? The 2015 campaign, Obama. In the last couple of weeks, I have noticed with liberals that we talk to, Democrats we talk to, whatever they want to call themselves, progressives, whatever they want to call themselves, I've never seen or heard or spoken to Democrats that are so down and beaten and feel defeated. And you can hear it. They can't talk about much of anything that's going on today. They want to all go, but they think they got that linchpin thing with January 6th. And then most of what they repeat are lies and slanders about President Trump that were talking points from years past. I've never seen Democrats in the mindset they are in right now. I almost feel bad for them, but I don't feel bad for them. All right, let's go. Hold on a second here. My phones are ringing off the hook. Okay, I think you're next. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian.
Yes.
How are you today?
All right. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Okay, I'm George, the retired Air Force major.
Yep.
And I'm calling in regards to the idiot that called a little while ago about people, giving less care at the VA. That's a lot of BS because I've been going there for the last 2 or 3 decades, and I'm getting nothing but the finest care at the VA.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know what it is, Mark. I mean, listen, what it is, they got nothing, and they just repeat things that they hear from Rachel Maddow, right, or The View, and things like that. They have no content. Yeah. President Trump. I mean, he's hasn't. Not only has he not cut veterans benefits. Veterans are in a much better position because he's not sending them off to fight in wars that they don't need to fight in when you can handle it with air support.
Yes, by the way, I flew the C-130 for over 10 years, and it's interesting because while they were developing the B-2, they were testing that new bomb, the bunker buster, believe this, it's coming out of the rear of the C-130 on a parachute. That's how it was developed before the damn airplane was finished.
That's amazing. And it works very well.
Yes, I think it. I was looking at that. The results look very impressive. But, okay, I'll have more info for you at another time.
All right, take care. All right, appreciate the call. Yes. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm in Spokane, Washington. How you doing, brother?
All right, Spokane, Washington. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm just getting tired of all these protests. People raising all these damn flags. Like, God damn it, we're in America.
All right, no profanities, please. You haven't really gotten there yet, but...
Sorry about that.
I couldn't quite understand what you said, though.
No, I'm just saying we're in America, and it's just kind of weird that everybody's raising all these flags up here. What do you think about that?
What do you mean, raising flags or burning flags?
Well, they're burning our flag, which I don't like.
I haven't seen anybody burning flags in the United States. They're burning flags in the state of Washington?
No, they're burning them in L.A. and other different big towns. Washington's actually, or Spokane's actually doing pretty good. Yeah,
I haven't seen anyone burning any American flags. I've seen a lot of people flying Mexican flags. And you know what the liberals are doing? They've changed tactics. We saw this at the No Kings events. they're trying to show respect for American flags, and for the first time, Democrats are waving American flags, pretending to be proud of them because they got so much negativity from the Mexican flags they were flying out in LA. All right, appreciate the call. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Bill, Tennessee.
Hey, Bill. Yeah, here we go. Yes, Bill.
How do you feel about Epstein's list?
I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Well, due to the fact that Trump was on it, not too good.
Really? So you have access to this list that hasn't been released. What do you work for, Pam Bondi? How did you
Elon
see?
did.
Excuse me. How did you see the list that no one's seen, that hasn't been made public? Excuse me. We know for a fact Trump is not on that list. But how?
Answer? You're just going to keep asking.
Answer.
Elon Musk tweeted about the list and said that he was on it, and Elon Musk had direct access to the list.
No, Elon did not have direct access to anything, and then he took that back and said that he did it in a fit of rage. But we know for a fact.
What about the state?
Excuse me. We know for a fact. Well, people say things when they're angry, you know. Excuse me, no to you. We know for a fact Trump is not on the Epstein list. Do you know how we know that?
Because he released it like he said he would on day one.
No, if he were on the Epstein list, the Democrats would have released that years ago to try to stop him from becoming president. They tried everything else under the sun. They shot him, tried to shoot him again, arrested him. They did all these things to try to stop him.
Yeah,
if he was on the Epstein list,
it's because they're on it too. They're powerful too. The Democrats.
You don't have to release a full list. You can release a partial list.
What?
Huh? All right, appreciate the call. Oh my goodness. See what I mean about the Democrat callers, what I was talking about before the last break? I want to tell you guys, I took that bottom of the hour break really late because I was talking to that lunatic. So I want to take this break on time, so it's a short segment. If you're on hold, stand by. Of course, what we are celebrating is President Trump's historic end to the 12-day Israeli-Iranian war. He ended the war in 48 hours, and we're celebrating his great accomplishment. My name is Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. We'll be right back. Now, guys, if you're watching on the main stream, I pinned a link to this book. This is a book written by a great dad who's a regular in our live stream, although he's not one of the more known vocal people in there. I'm not sure if he may comment, he may not. But he's asking if you could buy a copy of this book to help support him. He asked me to promote his book, and I'm doing that for him. It's called The Flowers Story, and there is a link in the description of the video. If you're not watching live, there's a direct link to the video. If you could click that link and purchase a copy. I bought a copy myself. If you're watching on the main stream, there's a link pinned at the top of the chat. And it would be greatly appreciated if you could help him out. It's available in paperback and hardcover. Yeah, you can even get a signed copy, as you can see there. So click the link. Again, the link to the book is in the description, the flower story of the video, and it's also pinned at the top of the live chat on the stream there. Awesome, Girl Interrupted. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Girl Interrupted, when did you purchase that? Because I'd mentioned the book yesterday on the program, so thank you for purchasing and helping them out. Thank you so much for doing that. Welcome. We'll be back shortly. We're back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. If you're on hold, stand by. You know, President Trump's made history. He ended a war without really too much time. I know it's the 12-day war, but he really ended it in 48 hours. We bombed Iran on Monday, on Saturday, bombed them again on Monday, and then by Monday afternoon, boom, it was over. That is amazing. And while he was doing all that, he also gave the war its name, the 12-day war. Has a president ever given a war its name before? I don't know how these wars always get named, but Trump named this one. All right, let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian. This is Richie.
Hey, Richie.
I have to say, I haven't heard from Mark Levin, so I'm going to just tell you how I personally feel about this whole thing. First of all, I think you're prematurely taking a victory run.
Well, President Trump and the vice president are, and so why should I?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because at this point, it's a little premature to know exactly. You might be right. It might be rogue bombs going into Israel. They don't think that at this point. They don't think there's a ceasefire. Those people that were killed last night in those apartment buildings, I don't think they thought there was a ceasefire.
Well, Richie, hold on a second. You know, listen, you're a veteran, right? You're a veteran, and you know, Richie, that when there are ceasefires, which is not an official end of a war, like there hasn't been like a peace treaty signed,
right.
But you're aware that when there's ceasefires, there's still things going back and forth. That's normal.
Yeah, but it takes that normal small fire and stuff like that. But to launch these missiles, these heavy duty missiles, it has to be some.
Well, we have listen. We have people in this country that are fuming that Trump got this ceasefire going. And if we have people like that here, you can only imagine what's going on in Iran. So who knows? It could be a complete violation, and the Iranian government's doing this, or it could be some hardline lunatic officers of the army doing it.
Right. That's why I say it's premature to take victory laps.
I don't know. The president, and the vice. I watched the vice president on Bret Baier when it was announced last night. I'm just following their lead.
I got it. And my opinion of this is this, and I'm going to give you my opinion. I might be wrong. This is either going to go down as the greatest accomplishment in the history of this country, or it's going to go down as the biggest screw up. And I'm going to say what I'm going to say here. I'm not into this, Jeff, with this predestined thing in the Bible. I'm going to tell you the way I feel about this. I remember, and I'm going to an analogy. I remember there was a championship fight, and Ernie Shavers had Larry Holmes down, and Larry Holmes didn't know where he was. The referee actually overcounted and let Larry Holmes get off of the mat, and the next round he knocked Shavers out. I mean, what I'm trying to say is Iran has been weakened, a great accomplishment by President Trump. But to give them a lifeline at this point, and I'm not talking about regime change. I'm talking about we are on the verge of taking these maniacs totally out, and we're giving them a lifeline. And I'm not saying it's the right thing or the wrong thing, but it is a lifeline. And I don't know about Mark Levin. I guess Mark Levin feels probably the way I do. You got this guy down on the mat. Put it out now.
You know what? It seems to me, listen, it seems to me that militarily, without this nuclear weapon capability, that Iran's pretty weak. You know?
Yeah, but they're not weak enough to still recruit, and they're not weak enough to still drop.
So what are you suggesting, that we carpet bomb them?
I'm saying that President Trump is in a bad position, and I'll tell you why he's in a bad position. Because he's got people on the left screaming at him that he's a war criminal, and he's got people on the right saying,
"So what?
No more wars, no more wars." He's trying to pacify everybody.
Yeah.
And war doesn't work like that. I'm sorry.
No, listen. Whether or not it was the Iranian government who authorized these strikes or not, okay, people are rushing to say they didn't. There are a lot of people on both Israel, Iran, and the United States who want this war to continue. Okay, there's people in
I
all
don't
three
want it to
countries that
continue.
want it to
I don't
continue,
want it to continue.
and are upset
What
and are upset that there's still Iranians over there. Okay, alive.
No,
So
I don't want it to continue, but I'm not taking a victory lap so fast. The point that I'm saying is beware, because you're dealing with
if
crazy,
Iran
crazy people who hate us.
how crazy are they? I mean, this when it comes to Trump.
How crazy are they?
Well, hold on, let me finish. Like yesterday, that bombing of the desert in Qatar, which was coordinated by Trump and the Iranian leaders.
Yeah.
I mean, does that sound like people that don't want to end the war? They did that symbolic attack on the empty desert yesterday.
Yeah, because they're afraid of us. They're afraid of us, but they're certainly not afraid of Israel. They seem to have gotten a boost last night.
If they have, I've been up all night. Okay, if they violate
10 to 12 last night, they were infesting.
President, we bombed them twice, right? We bombed the site Saturday, bombed it again yesterday, so they couldn't rebuild it. If they violate this ceasefire and continue what they were doing, Trump's going to wipe them out.
I don't think Trump's going to get involved again because he got too many people that don't want
to
get involved.
We'll see. All right, Richie, I appreciate the call. All right, take care. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. This is Barbara in Baltimore, and I am celebrating President Trump's accomplishment.
Absolutely.
And what he did is fantastic. I was just listening to a part of the Richie show, but I'm not going to even expect to have enough time to express all of my opinions about anything. But what he's done is fantastic. I am not sure where the Republicans, like Massey, what they're talking about, where they're coming from. I do hope that they primary him and get rid of him.
Well, President Trump formed a political action committee just to primary Massey. Listen, the thing with Richie, two things with Richie. Richie's never happy with Trump. You notice he's always miserable. He's always clutching his pearls.
No, I don't know.
And,
I don't really listen
and,
that much,
and for what I know, for all I know with Richie, he's upset that he won't have a war to watch as television programming. When this is over, a lot of people don't want this. You heard Jeff. They don't want the war to end. They just don't want the war to end.
It's going to work. Everything that President Trump is doing is going to work.
That's right.
And all of these people and naysayers that I don't know. I don't even know where they're coming from with it. But I felt like I just needed to call in now that I am your celebrity Oreo cookie, and I just love that term. It's so old. And on Friday, I'm going to give you a call. And I'm going to explain to you and your audience just who your racist black people who call in, the ignoramuses.
Yes.
Who they are, and every time they see these people who are on bicycles, these grown men who've never had jobs,
bicycles,
and have never paid any taxes.
Yeah.
These are the ones who are raising the children that you see in the street.
Yeah.
Shooting and fighting. And I think one of them had the nerve to tell you that he's a foster parent.
Something like that.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Well, I look forward to that, Barbara.
With the kids.
I look forward to that, Barbara. We'll talk on Friday. All right, take care. You take care. Now, I want to tell you guys about My Pillow. Listen, are you tired of flipping that pillow around all night, side to side, to get it comfortable? Why are you even doing that? That means you're not taking my advice and getting a My Pillow. I've been sleeping on a My Pillow for a decade. It will change your life. The My Pillow is not an ordinary pillow. That patented fill inside, it perfectly fits your head and neck in place so you don't toss or turn at night. And every time you toss and you turn, even if you don't remember it, you've interrupted your REM sleep. It's like having sleep apnea. Since I got my Pillow, I've been sleeping like a baby each and every night. And it doesn't matter how you sleep. You sleep on your back, you sleep on your left side, your right side, you sleep on your stomach. It doesn't matter what sleep position you're in. The MyPillow patented fill fits you perfectly. And right now, there's an incredible deal. With our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, you can get your MyPillow for just $17.98 with our promo code KANE. That's a great deal. In fact, you should buy one for every bed in your home and also for your kids, your grandkids, and your friends. It makes a great gift, too. This is an incredible price. It's really time to stock up. The MyPillow's changed the lives of millions because you get that MyPillow, you're sleeping soundly and well each and every night. And sleep, good sleep, is so important. Just $17.98 with our promo code KANE at checkout at MyPillow.com. You can also order by phone toll-free, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, hi, good morning. Hi, Steve. I'm calling from Broward. My name is Carmen.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm not wearing a hat, but if I have my hat on, I check it off about our president.
That's right, Donald Trump.
He did, and yes, and he did exactly what President Bush did. Remember in Panama, no one knew about what was going on.
Yes.
When he took the Noriega, he did exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings in that memory. I'm from Cuba. I've been living here since 1963. That's how long. I'm old now, but all my family have always been, for our presidents.
Mm-hmm.
So my issue, one of the questions for me to one gentleman stating that President Trump didn't go to the service because of his problem in his foot. What happened to Clinton? Why they don't talk about what Clinton did?
Yeah.
Then he went to Canada.
Clinton actually went. Why do you think he was an Oxford Rhodes Scholar? He went to England to avoid the draft.
Exactly, he avoided it. I have a lot of kids, relatives and my family, and we're all been praying, for please don't let them go because these people are vicious.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, I got to run for our top of the hour break. We're out of time, but thanks for the call. You make some good points.
Thank you. Have a great day.
By the way, do you live in Miami?
No, I live in Broward.
You live in you've been in America longer than me, and you still have this accent. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Cracks me up.
Yes,
All right.
I do.
I know.
I am.
She's been in America longer than me, guys. All right, take care. All right, 1 hour down, 2 to go. Call us on hold, stand by. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back with more after this. Oh, thank you, Job for 9. Yeah, you'll love those sheets. The sheets are amazing. They're absolutely amazing. Okay. Be back in a couple minutes, guys. If you're on hold, hang in there. Tomorrow I will be at the radio station. We'll be back in about a minute. You're all welcome to call in. If you want to call in, the number is toll free. Hour number 2 has begun. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. And what we're talking about is this incredible peace agreement, the ceasefire that President Trump brokered, and in the 12-day war. And for those that are just tuning in, before we go back to the phones, I just want to state a couple things. Yes, I am very well aware that there has been some rocket attacks on Israel. A couple things about this. You can hear just on the phones people of both sides. The first call of the day was Jeff from Maine. So we've heard from conservatives, we've heard from liberals, and they're all upset that the fighting has stopped. Now, I don't know if people wanted something to watch on television. I don't know what's going on here. But you hear the hardliners in this country that are upset at the ceasefire. Now, if you could only imagine about hardliners in Iran that are upset that there's a ceasefire. So what we don't know about these attacks are they sanctioned by the Iranian government? Are they rogue officers in the Iranian military or a third party? We don't know. So let's wait until we find out. All right, let's go to the phones. 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Ben from Pompano. How you doing?
Hey, Ben. What's up?
Hey, so I just wanted to point out something that it's like a huge contrast from at this point, almost at this very time.
Wait, hold on one second. My phones are ringing off the hook, so I got to answer all these. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Ben. I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. So I wanted to point out something in contrast to Biden's presidency, almost at this time, when his first term during the summer, what did we have? Biden's approval rating was kind of staying steady, and then what happened? The withdrawal from Afghanistan. So now, almost at the same point in Trump's second term, we have the complete opposite. Whereas Biden, it was a complete foreign affairs disaster, Trump, it's an unprecedented victory, where he denuclearizes Iran. People have been talking about it for years. No retaliation. I mean, there was a symbolic one, but other than that, peace deal almost immediately. Coordination with Israel, and Biden's supposed to be the so-called foreign policy expert, right? He was on the Senate Committee for Foreign Affairs. He was the head of it. So I would just like to remind people at this point in Biden's presidency, I mean, the contrast between one of the worst presidents in history, I think the worst because he actively tried to destroy the country, where at least other bad presidents did do it on purpose, versus one of the best presidents in history who has repeated success after repeated success with, mind you, opposition no other president has ever faced. It was like Michael Jordan in the 90s. He was the greatest during like one of the greatest periods of opponent. Yeah. And Trump is the same way. If he actually had an establishment that was working with him, it would be like.
Well, what do you say, Ben? What do you say, Ben, to these rocket attacks that have been going on the last couple hours?
The what?
There's been some rocket attacks into Israel the last couple of hours.
Oh, there has been?
But we don't know. Yeah, I mean, we don't know that the Iranian government has denied that it's them. In fact, the Iranian parliament yesterday voted in favor of and approved the ceasefire. So we don't know who's doing this or who authorized them. But I hear a lot I hear a lot of warmongers on the phones and on the TV that are so upset that this war's over.
Yeah, that's pathetic. You know, and there might have been a rocket attack again. Like the ceasefire just took effect. There might have been a stray rocket or whatever. But I mean, even if there was, I mean, Trump's in control right now. We accomplished our objectives. Our objectives are completely accomplished. We didn't want Iran to have a nuke. They no longer have a nuke. We created a sense of deterrence. We will go after you if you, this isn't the presidents of yesteryear where we just say, oh, remember Obama's red line with Syria? Well, that's not happening now. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a wild success. And there might be a stray rocket here, stray rocket there. But right now, I think there's going to be peace. And especially now, I just heard that Trump is now going to pressure Netanyahu to, all right, let's bring this thing in. So that stray rocket means nothing to me. I think Trump is in control, and I think it's really
see. This is it is normal during when there's a ceasefire in these wars. There's always fighting still after. This is the first time in the modern era where we've got cell phones and everything's going online right away. This is normal now. Iran could have violated the ceasefire, but people are so rushed into accepting that because they want Iran destroyed, and they're upset that that it's not being destroyed.
Yeah, I didn't listen. I just called in. I didn't listen before. Are people calling in crying because Iran sent like a stray rocket or something this morning?
It's multiple rockets came in, but we don't know who sent them and who authorized them or anything.
Yeah.
It's been conservatives and liberals alike are upset that this fighting stopped.
There's a term going around that I kind of like it, like panicking.
I love that one. Panicins, yes.
Yeah, panicins, and we got a lot of panicins out there. Everyone wants to turn on Trump the second they think things look bad, like with the tariffs. Oh my God, look at the stock market. People need to live in, have a little more perspective than like 5 feet in front of their face. When this thing happened with Iran, I said to myself, I remember I was on the phone with you and Steve, and I'm like, we're going to see what happens. You can't rush to judgment.
Yep.
Trump always has like an ace up his sleeve, So it's just going to be one win after another, and I'm just saddened to see that we have so many people who not only lose face on our side, but actively try to stop Trump's agenda. He's still within the mandate period. If I'm not
this panicking thing is great. I love this, and there's a lot of them.
Oh, and let's not forget who the panicins were. We had big names. We had Jack Posobiec. We had Tucker Carlson. These people they're such snakes because when things are going good, they'll stick with Trump. But if there was another, let's say, January 6th incident, would they turn their back? They're already showed they're willing to abandon Trump.
And I'll tell you, over the last, especially yesterday, before all this stuff, until the ceasefire was announced by the president, people have been off the air, have been trying to get me, well, you should come out against Trump every once in a while so you have credibility. I've been getting pressured from people to try to condemn Trump's actions on Saturday. It's bizarre. I am always with Trump. Always I am with Trump. I will never be against Trump on anything that he says or does, ever.
Well, look at his track record. I mean, look at his track record. He always comes out on top. He's defeated all the enemies of the left. The Obama dynasty, the Clinton dynasty, the Kamala wasn't a dynasty, but he defeated Kamala.
And look at you talk about some big names. Even Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon.
Yeah.
Were panicins.
I know.
All right, Ben. I got to run, Ben. I appreciate the call, though. Great call. Ben's a good caller. I like Ben. He's a good caller. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jay from Jersey.
Hey, Jay.
I don't know if you can see TV, but Trump just used the F-bomb because Israel broke the treaty already.
Who said the F-bomb?
Trump just said the F-bomb as he was getting on the helicopter coming out of the White House. He's effing mad at Israel.
He said, President Trump said, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do it, it is a major violation. I'm reading his. I am reading. Excuse me. Excuse me. I am reading his post on Truth. All right. President Trump posted this 21 minutes ago now, okay? Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do it, it is a major violation. This is, by the way, in all caps, all letters, which means he's yelling.
But guess what? Israel did it.
Let me
That's what he
finish.
just came out and
Let
said
me
from the
finish. Let me
helicopter.
finish my sentence. Bring your pilots home now. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. So those of you out there who say that President Trump is a tool for Israel, does that sound like he's their tool?
Well, the ceasefire didn't work.
He said he's not happy. He said
Israel is already shooting rockets.
Trump
and
said.
President Trump just said he's effing mad because
Well, yeah.
Israel did it.
Wouldn't you be mad if you were him? So you should be.
Okay,
You should be.
you said it was all over.
Hold on a second here. Hold on a second. We are in a developing and breaking news cycle right here. As we're speaking, okay, major events are happening that we're discussing in real time.
That's what I just said to you.
Okay, so what I'm getting to with you, if you'll listen, you must be very happy with Trump because he is criticizing Israel, he's threatening Israel, and sending heavy warnings to Israel, in fact, blaming them for the fighting. How's it feel?
You don't realize who we're fighting against.
How does it feel? How does it feel for you to be on the side with Trump now?
I'm on the side that he just started a fight with terrorists, and we're gonna get killed.
Okay.
What are you
All right.
talking
All right.
about?
Appreciate the call. All right. Now, before we go back to the phone, stand by. We're going to take our break and go back to the phones after the break. I want to talk about the Sloman's free doorbell camera offer with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Now, listen. I was mentioning yesterday. Often what I talk about, it's obviously a part of my security system at home, but it's convenient because I never have to get up to answer the door. And I was mentioning yesterday, my wife's disabled. It's very difficult for her to get up needlessly to see who's at the door, even to look through the peephole. So those of you that have mobility issues, those of you who are older or disabled, this doorbell camera is a life changer for you. Imagine you get a notification on your phone, which is in everyone's hand all of the time. You know who's there. You may answer the door, maybe you won't. Depends on who you see on your phone, right? And it really is a great help to have if mobility issues are a thing. That's why I tell people, it's a great gift for mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and yourself too. So get your free doorbell camera that connects directly to your cell phone with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Sloman's is also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts, a lifetime warranty, a backup battery, plus a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Here's the number, 833-283-5050, 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050. We'll be right back.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
I wish I could play this.
We basically have two countries.
I wish I could play this on the radio, but I can't. But I can play it to you guys. Hold on. Oh my goodness. I wish I could play that on the air. I don't want to even play it here off the air just to be on the safe side. Because we're too close to coming back. Oh my goodness. Oh boy, things are developing in real time. I love it. Yeah, I love doing a live show. Doing a live show is amazing. Okay, so we got some breaking news. Jay from Jersey is now agreeing with the president, which is breaking news in itself. But the president was getting on the helicopter, and I cannot play this clip for you guys on the radio because President Trump indeed not only dropped the F-bomb, he did it with a lot of purpose, and he is fuming at both Iran and Israel. So, by the way, all you anti-Semites out there that think Trump's controlled by the Jews, you're always talking about Israel. He said, you've got two countries that have been hating and fighting each other so long, neither of them know what the F they're doing. And when he dropped that F-bomb, that was, we've heard him use it before, but not like that. Using it at a rally, it's almost like a punchline. The way he used it, the F word is one of the, I think, probably most brilliant words in the English language because it has so many different meanings. And that one word has more meanings maybe than any other word in the English language, depending on how you use it and where it's used and the emphasis and all that stuff. Where he's used it as a joke or a punchline at the rallies, when he used it getting on the helicopter, he was serious as a heart attack. And it doesn't look like the ceasefire is holding together. And what are we supposed to do, right? I think Trump has done his part, taking out that nuclear site. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. It's Sandra from Boca. How are you?
Hey, Sandra. Yeah, Trump dropping that F-bomb is he is fuming. I think he's more angry at Israel than Iran because these are his supposed friends. Anyway, go ahead, Sandra.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, he actually did what no other president has ever done.
What's that?
And do what he did, abolish all the nuclear facilities in Iran.
Yep.
He's restored peace to the Middle East. My concerns, though, are about Putin. I saw his interview, and you can tell, like, just by his body language, how angry he is and how he's like, oh, this aggression against Iran is irresponsible, and he says, we're going to do everything we can to help the Iranian people. I feel like saying to him, what do you mean do everything to help the Iranian people? Nobody was even killed, so what's he talking about?
I don't know if none of our people were killed. I don't know if any Iranians were killed in the facility or not. I don't know if that's been said. We didn't lose any Americans in it. Well, listen, whether or not the ceasefire looks like it's fallen apart, in spite of what's President Trump supposed to do, right? At least Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. If these two countries cannot agree and maintain a ceasefire, I think we're very happy that Iran didn't get that nuclear weapon.
Yes, exactly. And look, President Trump is not a war-happy person. People don't understand. If he had to do this, then he had to do this. That's it. Period. The end. He actually, remember, he has all the briefings, everything that's going on. When he said they were 1 week away from a weapon, from a nuclear bomb, I believe him.
Yeah.
I believe him.
Yeah. Now
he didn't.
I do.
He didn't pull that out of a hat.
No, I believe him. And 3 weeks away from 10.
And 3 weeks away from 10.
Mm-hmm. And now they're forever away from having one. And
yes.
Yeah. Yes. Now the thing about the ceasefire. Listen, President Trump's right. These two people, they hate each other like nobody's business. And just because what's happening is happening doesn't mean that there will not be a ceasefire that's permanent. I mean, President Trump is ticked, and he's got a lot of juice with both of them, right? I mean, Israel, I mean, they need us to buy the weapons from. They need us a lot. If they, and for Israel to, and I would consider this a betrayal. Everything that President Trump has done, if he's been betrayed by Netanyahu, he's not going to take that lightly. He does that, I think President Trump. Yeah, go ahead.
I came in a little bit late, so I thought there was a ceasefire. And
well, it's up in the air right now. As we're speaking, it's developing. People always want to say, "Oh, you're wrong." We're talking. There is early this morning, about 2.5 hours ago, there were some rockets that hit Israel that were believed to be fired by Iran. The Iranian government denied that they authorized it. So we don't know if it was the Iranian government. We don't know if it was rogue Iranian officers or a third party. And Israel is planning on dropping bombs on Iran in retaliation. President Trump has told him not to do that with some very strong words. So we're in a developing situation while we're on the air.
I see.
It's sad. I mean, it's a sad situation.
It is a sad situation because I think what President Trump accomplished is something. I think the Israeli government should take it easy. Just take it easy. I mean, this is a huge accomplishment. They don't have a weapon anymore. So all this back and forth, it's like, take it easy for just a minute. That's just my take on
the
it,
stated, the objective of everything, even from Israel, when they started their air campaign a couple weeks ago, their stated mission was to make sure that they don't develop a nuclear weapon. President Trump took care of that.
Right.
So what's the mission now?
I'd like to know also, which hasn't been mentioned, what has become of the remaining hostages? Do we even know?
No.
We don't even know.
No.
That hasn't even
but
been
at this point, listen, this is a developing story. I'm following it, and you guys are welcome to call me on the air and update me, because this is a developing story that is developing as we are speaking. But I'll tell you what, if a major regional war was going to break out, would Trump have gotten on the plane and left D.C., or would he have stayed in D.C. at the Situation Room? I think he would have stayed if he didn't, And the other thing that you got to factor in here, just imagine if Trump did not take out that nuclear weapons capability, what would be going on? They would, Iran would. They would use it.
Of course, I was just going to say those words. You just took it out of my mouth. I would say, don't think that they weren't going to use it. They were, because Iran, even though they fund Hamas, they have the same ideology.
But see, I am open to the possibility, because just hearing people in this country that are upset about a ceasefire, I'm open to the possibility of sabotage. The Israelis and the Iranians have hardliners in there that don't want a ceasefire. And one of those, by the way, is Netanyahu. Netanyahu wants Iran regime change. I think that's pretty obvious. So there's a lot of hardliners in our country, in Israel, and Iran who want the fighting to continue for various reasons.
Yeah, but that wasn't Trump's goal.
No.
Regime change was not the goal.
That's correct.
See, that's the thing. It's like Netanyahu takes one step and then he takes a step further. That was not Trump's goal.
That's right.
Goal was to get rid of what was a threat. He did it. He did it beautifully. And now it's like, okay, let's take it a step further. It's like that wasn't the goal.
That's right.
The goal was to get rid of the nuclear weapon.
All right, appreciate the call. I got to run for the break, but take care. If you're on hold, stand by. I want to talk about Dr. Appleton and his laser away pain treatment. Dr. Appleton made me aware, and I don't know why this didn't occur to me, but, hey, he's the doctor, right? The laser away pain treatment, you hear it works on every type of pain I've ever heard of, but it also, the laser away pain treatment also works on pains from slip and fall accidents, which I had off my skateboard. Really, I slipped off the board and fell. And also car accidents. A lot of people get into car accidents and Ubers and Lyfts, I understand. But if you've been in a car accident and you have injuries and you're in pain and you're suffering from a car accident, go see Dr. Appleton. Remember, it's a free consultation. I had a major car accident that I was almost killed in years ago when my daughter was still in elementary school. It was god awful. I thought I was dead. I-95 and Glades Road, just on there. And I mentioned this yesterday. I was in a parking lot. The traffic was not moving. I was at a dead stop, and a girl drove into me, hitting me in the driver's side, going about 65 to 75 miles an hour. Oh, man. And yeah, I mean, I'm lucky to be here talking about it. All the airbags deployed, and when the paramedics came, I couldn't remember how old I was when I was born. I couldn't even tell you my first name. And but I walked away from it. But the next day, holy smokes. And the day after the next day, oh my goodness, I was in so much pain. Now, I didn't know Dr. Appleton then, but if I would have gone to see him. I had so many pains and injuries. I didn't have any broken bones, luckily, and I didn't have a permanent concussion or anything, but I had a lot of aches and pains from injuries from the seatbelt, from my body tensing up when I saw the car coming because I was looking right at her. I couldn't go anywhere. And I had a lot of injuries that were painful for quite some time. And Dr. Appleton's laser wave pain treatment can treat those injuries and those pains that you suffer from slip and falls anywhere, out and about or at home, or car accidents, both if you're in your own vehicle or in a Lyft or an Uber. Give them a call and say bye-bye to your pain. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. I was shocked at how much pain I was in. The day after I was hurting, but the day after is when it really set in. And maybe some of you have had that experience. Give them a call, 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonChiro.com. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be back in about a minute. If you're on hold, hang in there. Oh, gosh darn it. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. On the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. If you're on hold, stand by. Sadly, Iran and Israel have broken the ceasefire, and Trump is fuming. You know, and when he dropped that F-bomb before he got on Marine One to head to the NATO meeting, you know, there's a philosophy that I've only kind of become recently, I don't know, I don't want to say a follower, but an advocate of in my private life. There's this guru self-help lady, Tony Robbins type. I cannot remember her name. When I say this, you'll know what I'm talking about. She had a book come out, and it was called, what was the name? What is her saying? It's Let Them. She's the author of this book called Let Them. And I cannot remember her name. Somebody in the audience will know. Let Them. And there's some controversy because this Let Them theory was believed to have been started by a TikToker, and she took it. She's very famous. She has a name that's kind of like a guy's name. I cannot remember her name. You know what I'm talking about? Let Them. And what Let Them is, it's kind of like a philosophy to butt out of everyone's life. And, you know, whether it's friends, whether it's family, a lot of people like to get, Mel Robinson is the name. Mel Robinson. Thank you to somebody in the live chat. Mel Robinson. And, you know, a lot of people are busybodies, and they're in everyone's life, their kid's life, their friend's life, their coworker's life. They're always getting advice. They're always injecting themselves. And there's this attitude of let them, right? And this is a little different situation when we're talking about a war in two countries. But look at what President Trump did. By the way, I'm going to have to change the title and the thumbnail on my YouTube. Those of you that watch me on YouTube, if you don't, go check out my thumbnail and YouTube title. Things have changed while we've been on the air. In fact, this is the most change we've ever had since really probably 9/11 live on the air. We were on the air during 9/11. We used to be on until 10 a.m. And I don't remember what we were talking about that day. And then 9/11 happened while we were on the air, and it changed everything. So there's been major breaking news while we've been on the air. The ceasefire that's been broken by Israel and Iran, and Trump is fuming at both of them. And I think he's more angry at Israel because, like I told the caller before the bottom of the hour, these are his friends. So what's happened here is Trump gave them something that they all wanted. He did what Israel didn't have the military capability to do, and what Iran was never going to do on their own. He took out their nuclear weapons facility. Not only did he take it out and destroy it, he sent in another airstrike yesterday to take out the infrastructure around it so it could never be rebuilt. And he got a ceasefire agreement, and they blew it. You know, and it's almost like it's a similar situation with Russia and Ukraine. And what President Trump said when he was getting on the helicopter today, he said you have these two sides. They hate each other. They've been fighting for so long. Neither side knows what the F they're doing, except he used the F word. And sometimes, like Mel Robbins says, let them. You know, President Trump went out on a limb against many people in the MAGA movement that have huge audiences. He went against Marjorie Taylor Greene and many others, took out that nuclear facility, okay, set up everything perfectly for them, and both sides have blown it. They've blown it. So what is he supposed to do? Let them. What are you supposed to do at this point, right? And by the way, I haven't read Mel Robbins' book. I don't think I need to read a book to know to stay out of everybody's business. That let them philosophy, I'm a much happier person since I started doing that. I don't care, you know. Just let them, your kids, your friends, other family members, something's going, they'll figure it out, guys. All right, let's go. 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. This is Bill from Sanford.
Hey, Bill.
I want to disagree with Richie. And by the way, I'm also a Vietnam vet. I'm 82 years old. I served in 66, 67. What Richie probably forgot is Trump being Trump. He wants to stop.
Okay, stand by. During our break, as I was going on there in that last segment, we came out of there. President Trump just dropped another message on Truth Social. Okay, here it is. Okay, now I want to go back. 48 minutes ago, the president said this. This is all on Truth. Don't you love this? I mean, this is exciting. This is real-time news coverage on the program today. I love this. 48 minutes ago, Israel was loading up the bombs. They were getting ready to bomb Iran. President Trump said, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do it, it is a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. They're all, okay, so the planes are on the way. The bombs are on the way. Signed, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Every letter was all caps, which means he's yelling. Just a few moments ago, while I was speaking, the president posted this to Truth Social. Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Holy smokes. So he put together the ceasefire. The ceasefire fell apart. And a few minutes later, he got Israel to turn the planes around and not drop the bombs. This is amazing, Bill. What's going on here? This is exciting.
He wants to stop the killing, the same thing he does in Ukraine. I mean, this guy, he is for peace. I wish people would understand
and not only that, peace through strength, which can be militarily or financial help. And he just got Israel to not drop the bombs that they were planning on dropping. The ceasefire is still in effect, so says the President of the United States. This is an exciting day.
Well, yes, it is, because we're working. I'm sure our Secretary of State and Whitaker are working with them for a peace deal, and then he stops Israel because he wants peace. He wants peace, and he's going to do that. He's going to keep doing that till they come to an agreement. Hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, this is exciting.
I mean, I admire him. He's sticking to his guns. He's being true to himself. He's being true to the conservatives. He wants peace. He doesn't want people getting killed anymore.
You know what's going on? You know what we're living through? We're living through. Did you ever see Failsafe with Henry Fonda? The original movie?
A long time ago. Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie. That's one of my favorite movies. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
it's a great movie.
Terrifying at the end.
Yeah, well, but the president's on the phone. Larry Hagman, J.R. Ewing, Major Nelson from I Dream of Jeannie, he's his Russian translator. And Henry Fonda's on the phone with the Russian premier, and he's got these generals yelling in the background that Larry Hagman says are telling him to drop the bombs, don't believe him, nuke America. We're right now in a Cuban Missile Crisis level crisis where the world is on the brink of war, and we have the most competent man ever as President of the United States who has maintained a ceasefire when the whole world was about to explode. What he's done in the last 72 hours is so historic. Now, unfortunately, the historians that write the history books are mostly liberals, so they're not going to write about it this way. But twice in the last 72 hours, he stopped the Third World War. He just did it again on the way to Air Force One on Marine One. I mean, this is really an exciting day that we're having here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate the call, Bill from Sanford. What time is it? It is. Well, I gotta take a break. Oh, for Father's Day, I got some great gifts for Father's Day, and my wife got me a great gift for Father's Day. She got me a Trump belt from the original Trump store. And it's a fine belt, boy. I can't wait to wear it. It's a fancy belt that you wear on to look nice. And I got the belt, on Father's Day, and it didn't fit. It was too big. My wife got it a long time ago, before I lost all this weight, with Coastal Weight Loss Secret. And we just sent it back last week to the Trump store to get the smaller one, because my waist I've lost inches off my waist. And I got to tell you, they sent that belt, I got it yesterday, they sent that belt back to me. I got it like 2 or 3 days after we sent in the one that was too big. But it was, it's so nice. When I got that belt that my wife got me for Father's Day, I immediately put it on, and it was too big. Because I lost all this weight. I want to thank Coastal Weight Loss Secret for that. Now, listen, Coastal Weight Loss Secret, they've got a July 4th sale that's going on right now. It ends July 7th, so don't waste time. Call them right now and take advantage of this. And here's what the deal is. 25% for 20% off for new patients. 20% off for new patients. It's a great deal. And you know what? It works. It works with me. Again, this ends July 7th, so to get your 20% off, call them today. Here's the number. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. We'll be right back. Okay. Be right back, guys. See, this is the Trump belt my wife got me for Father's Day. We had to send back and get one that fit. Isn't that a cool belt? Nice, huh? Is that cool? From the Trump store. That was my Father's Day gift from my wife. It is super cool. It is super cool. Still got the tag on it. Take the tag off. I didn't mail this out till like middle of last week, and I got it yesterday. I couldn't believe I got it so quick. And I got a nice letter from the president and Eric Trump. I don't have my knife with me, so I can't cut that tag off. But it is a nice belt. Look at that. Is that nice? Hey. That's a Trump belt, baby. Pretty cool, huh? Oh no, I dropped it. We're back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where you? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, hey Brian, this this is Joe. So, I mean, I think it's fantastic that Trump is calling out both sides on this. I think it's really, really important that, if he wants this peace, he needs to rein both of them in. And I think the best outcome would be to get UN peacekeepers in there in Gaza, in there in Israel, keep people responsible, keep them kind of, keep them calm, right? Because the loss of life is terrible.
Yeah.
So I just want to shout out the channel that I saw the other day called Predictive History, and it laid out a pretty kind of coherent thing about basically escalation philosophy or escalation theory, right? Where basically his fear is that they are really trying to drag the U.S. into a prolonged ground war.
Who is Israel?
False flags.
Who is?
Like that.
Who is?
Well, in this case, both sides. They're both
Well,
kind of
here's I'm not going to disagree with you. Listen, look at the divide that we've had in this country with good people, right? Yeah. Marjorie Taylor Greene, and a lot of Tucker Carlson and Bannon and others. Can you only imagine what's going on in Israel and Iran? There are people that they want both sides dead. They want the other side dead. They can't, that's just it. Absolutely. And I think what President Trump's doing is amazing. Now, whether the ceasefire holds, I don't know. There's some reporting that Israel went through with the bombing. So if they did that, they lied to the president. Listen, we're dealing with a developing story here, but the one thing we know, Trump was right to take out the nuclear weapons. Things are so dangerous over there. You can see it, that Iran would out of desperation would have used a nuclear weapon if they had the ability to do so.
So early this morning, apparently Israel went through with the largest bombing that Trump said he'd ever seen.
Yep.
Pam Bondi came out early this morning also talking about, attacks of secret groups and stuff like that. And that's just like a massive, false flag opportunity for anyone who wants to keep this going, right? It doesn't seem to me like Iran really wants to keep this going. What are they going to do?
It seemed, I got to tell, it's hard to say, but it seems to me Israel wants to keep the war going more than Iran. I'm talking about the government.
There's a huge opportunity in keeping the eyes off of Gaza and stuff like that, right? I think Bibi also has some legal issues. He's not a very popular president within Israel, or prime minister rather, within Israel, apart from the fact that they're in the middle of a war.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate the call. Take care. Yeah. And by the way, I don't mind, as news is developing, feel free to call me and share with me any updates you think are noteworthy. I'm a man alone here, so it's when there's breaking news, I'm doing my best. But if you have some information I don't, it's certainly welcome. Now, at this point, I'm talking about the governments now. Which government do you think wants peace less, Israel or Iran? I'm talking about the government. And it seems to me yesterday we got a big signal from Iran's government, or whoever's running Iran these days, that they wanted the war to end. That's why they worked with the Trump administration to send those rockets to hit the deserts in Qatar and not hit the base. So that was a sign of cooperation to me. Okay, has Israel shown a sign of cooperation? I don't know. Things are getting pretty hairy over there. All right, back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on.
Joellen from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Joellen.
Hi there. I just heard you talking about Bannon and Tucker and Marjorie Taylor Greene, because they're on the divide, saying that they want to see people killed. Is that what you're saying?
Who?
Is that what you're saying?
I don't. Mark Levin wants Israel wiped out. I mean, that's major regime change and total war till it's upon. Yeah.
But what were you talking about?
Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene, even since Saturday's attack, has been very vocal against U.S. intervention in that war. She said it was I think it was Sunday. She said, I was talking about this on my podcast last night. I think it was Sunday. She said that I don't know any Americans who were dead from Iranians, but I know a lot of people that are being killed by the cartels. Why aren't we why aren't we dropping bunker busters on the cartels? Yeah, she was very vocally opposed to any action in this war.
Okay, but it just so I mean, do we not have free speech in this country anymore? You're talking about.
Well, of course, but Joellen, there's consequences for your speech, right?
So does that mean that these people are very wise? And when you say they're against Trump, they're not against Trump. They're for Trump. They want, and they have, Bannon has Trump's ear. So they are saying, just trying to make him realize, you know, show that these people want war. And they want the regime change, and they want the United States brought into here. And all they're saying is, no, that's not our war.
Well,
don't get dragged into it.
Well, if we didn't get what war have we been?
They're saying, not the truth.
How did President Trump get dragged into a war? He took out the nuclear facility. He just posted a few minutes ago on Truth Social, President Trump, Iran will never rebuild their nuclear facilities. He took out the nuclear facility. And then they went back yesterday and hit the infrastructure around it again, so it can't be rebuilt. Okay, we're not in a war. He took out their nuclear capability, and I got to tell you, it's getting so hot and heated over there right now. They would have used it.
Okay, so what all Bannon and Tucker are saying is the truth. Is the truth, and all they see the big picture.
No,
also,
they were opposed. No. They were opposed to Trump taking out the nuclear facility. We're not involved in a war. We don't have any troops mobilized. They haven't called up reservists. They're not sending active duty soldiers from Europe to the region. We're not getting involved in a ground war. He did a surgical aerial bombardment of the nuclear facility that he's wiped out. We're not in a and basically. He's about to wash his hands clean and say, you know, if you're going to kill yourselves, go ahead and do it. You know, I ended the war. I took out the nuclear sites. I got a ceasefire agreement. You guys have blown it. You're on your own. That's where he's at now. He is fuming. I've never seen President Trump so angry before. Never seen him like this. He's fuming.
Okay. All right. But all I'm saying is, you know, they have a right to speak their mind, and they're not against.
But
Trump.
there's consequences to it. As an example, hold on, Joellen. Ron DeSantis was within his rights to run against Trump in the primary, but there's consequences to that. I will never trust him again, right? So, you know, we have free speech. We're free people, but there are consequences for what you say.
Well, when I heard you say that Tucker is taking money from Muslims,
I didn't say that. No. Laura Loomer was reporting over the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Laura Loomer, not me. Laura Loomer was reporting over the weekend that.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't believe that for 1 minute. And maybe he was being paid for that interview. So I mean, what's wrong with that?
Laura Loomer report, and I'll tell you, I don't know, but I know this. Laura Loomer has a 100% accuracy rate in her reporting, and that is not an exaggeration. She is always right. And she reported Thursday or Friday last week. I shared this on my podcast. That Tucker Carlson did an interview with, was it the Prime Minister, a leader in Qatar, and she reported that he was paid for that interview through a third or fourth party. I don't know that that's true, but that's what she reported. Okay? Well, if you were taking, Qatar has relations with Iran, and what she was alleging is that he did a paid infomercial to has him advocating against taking out the nuclear sites in Iran. That's what she was alleging. I'm not saying that's true, but if people see...
Well, he also had he interviews a lot of
no, I will tell you. Okay, no. Hold on a second. Joellen, listen. You hear me? I do commercials, right? And now I don't, now the commercials that I do, they're personal endorsements. I don't talk about something unless I'm doing it or Steve's doing it or we both are. We don't talk about a meal we haven't had, Coastal Weight Loss Secret, I'm there. I got the doorbell camera. Dr. Appleton gave me my laser away pain treatment and rid me of pain in my knee before you ever heard me talk about him. I was on the Coastal Weight Loss Secret program for 2 weeks and lost about 15 pounds before I told you guys about it. But these aren't public service announcements. They're paid advertisements, right? When I'm doing an advertisement and that I'm being paid for it, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, these are all vetted people that I trust and I use their services. Like our attorney, Barry Siegel. He's Steve's personal attorney, and he became Steve's attorney before we were. I got tires for years from Friendly Tire before they were with us. If people in the media are getting paid to do infomercial interviews and not revealing that says something. That's important. So if you're paid to do an interview, that's an infomercial. And if you don't tell people that, you're presenting an infomercial. A commercial is news, right? I mean, do you see the difference? I got to run for the break, but I think you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but...
All right, I got 3 seconds. I got to run, Joellen. Great call. I appreciate your call, okay? 1 hour to go. We'll be back. Okay. If you're on hold, stand by. We got 2 minutes. We'll be back. Okay, about 30 seconds and we'll be back. Welcome back. The third hour has begun. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. Celebrating 48 years on the radio. Okay, the ceasefire, we are in a developing news period right now, okay? It looks like it's falling apart, and Trump is fuming. I mean, I've never seen Trump so angry as I saw him when he got on that helicopter. It's developing. So let's go back to the phones. Again, if you guys are picking up on things that I am missing, because this is a breaking news cycle, you are welcome to be correspondents to the program today. And if you have any thoughts, you're welcome to call in. The number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Rob. I'm calling from Canada.
All right. Could you pick up the phone off the speaker?
Yeah, there you go. Is that better?
Much better. Go ahead, Canada.
Okay, I'm just curious why, if we, or the United States, didn't start a war, why were they funding Israel? And second, why did Trump leave the JCPOA?
The what? What's the JCPOA?
Okay, so it comes down to research, and this is what I don't understand where people are...
Just tell me what it is. I'm going to respond to your questions. You can feel intellectually superior on someone else's time. What is I don't know what the J, whatever it is. What is that?
Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action.
Okay.
Okay,
now, first of all, I got to correct something you said. You said, why are we? You're Canadian. You're not a part of us. And you're concerned,
no,
and you asked a question that was absurd, considering that you're calling me from Canada. You asked, excuse me, you asked some questions, I'm responding. You said, why are we funding Israel? How dare you ask when we're supporting your entire country, including paying for your healthcare system and your dues to the King of England for the Commonwealth fees. You got to be out of your mind to be complaining about us funding Israel.
I think you have that actually incorrect.
No, it's correct.
For starters.
Your country has been sucking off of us for decades. President Trump has talked about this a lot.
How do you feel you are funding our country? I actually want
there's a couple of major reasons why. President Trump's talked about this. Okay? One, Canada has not been paying for their NATO dues. And you guys have also not been paying for the North American alliance that we have between the United States and Canada for your defenses. We've been covering you on that. Military expenditures are one of the biggest parts of most countries' budget, and you've not been paying it because because of the proximity, you count on us protecting you because of the proximity. That's billions of dollars a year. That's one major reason, and that's one of the only reason your healthcare system works is because we're financially bankrolling your tiny little population's country.
Where do you come up with these numbers?
President Trump.
Okay, so you believe everything that comes out of his mouth?
Correct.
Okay, so you're more deluded than he is.
He's not deluded. He's my president.
If you stop and think about this for one split second, where would you guys' oil come from? Where would your power come from?
We don't need any power from you. With the United States, the United States, no, the United States, no. That's part of the reason your country's sucking off of us. We have more natural gas, coal, and oil than any other country in the world. And we have corrupt politicians in this country that have not been allowing us to exploit it. And we've been buying things from you Canadians that we don't need. That's another example that you just pointed out on how we are. Your country is basically a welfare state of the United States.
You are so deluded, sir. Like, I was willing to have a decent conversation, but you want to turn this into that we need you? Okay, stop and think about this for a second. The Eastern Seaboard, if Quebec and Ontario stopped sending electricity to the Eastern Seaboard, what would happen?
We'd build our own power plants. We don't need anything from Canada. Nothing.
Would take you 10 years.
Well, so what?
So you'd be without...
Listen. You guys in Canada... in Canada... Listen, Canada... 80... Listen, let me explain to you how sad your country is. 80% of the Canadian population live within 150 miles of the U.S. border. Why is that?
That's how the Trans-Canada Highway runs.
Yeah, that's because your whole country is relying on us. You're nothing without us. In fact, even if you, and plus I also would go so far to say that Canada's a racist country.
We're the racists, and we're deporting immigrants.
Sure. Have you had a non-white prime minister of your country? We've had a black president twice.
We haven't had anybody run.
Really?
Colored.
What did you say? What was that word you said? You said the C word? That you just used a racist term that went out in the 60s to describe black people. Wow. You're a great caller. You're proving all my points.
A colored person?
Yes, that is racist. Yes, we don't use that. No, that went out in the 60s. Oh, my goodness. I mean, I haven't heard somebody, gee whiz. Wow. Did you guys hear that? When's the last time you heard somebody say that? Wow.
I hear it all the time.
Well, then you're surrounded by a lot of racist Canadians.
That doesn't make us racist.
Yeah, that's almost like the N-word. Almost.
Just because you make it up in your head doesn't mean it's true.
No, it's true. It's true. Okay. Oh my goodness. Gee whiz.
But let's go back.
Holy
smokes.
Go back
to the situation with Iran.
I'm glad I took your call.
Why would Donald Trump step out of the JCPOA, which prevented...
I already forgot what the JCPOA is. I'd forgotten what that is. The joint what?
Joint Comprehensive Action Plan.
And what is that action plan, and who did we make our plans with?
That was created by Barack Obama.
Oh, Barack Obama.
Which prevented Iran from acquiring or making nuclear weapons.
Yeah, but they did it anyway. They ignored they ignored it. They were a week away from having a nuclear weapon.
Said there is no nuclear weapons. His own defense.
There aren't now.
Said there are no.
No, listen, this is what people do when they lie. They were enriching uranium to weapons grade levels. Okay? They did not have 68% is what they had it enriched to. And
it needs to be 90 for weapons grade.
And it is according to Marco Rubio and President Trump, who I trust.
Marco Rubio.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
But your Defense Secretary of Intelligence.
No, excuse me. No, the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, and our great American President, Donald Trump, say going from 68 to 90% is an easy thing to do. They did not have an operational nuclear weapon yet, but they were close to it. So we did what you guys don't have the guts to do. We actually took action. And now they don't have it.
You took action when your intelligence said there wasn't a nuclear weapon.
Well, no. President Trump was briefed by intelligence analysts. They said Marco Rubio, who's our Secretary of State.
Marco Rubio doesn't have brains. God gave a shower curtain.
Whatever that means. He was my senator here in Florida, and now he's a great Secretary of State, and he'll probably be president or vice president after Trump leaves office. But he said, as did the president, that Iran was 1 week away from having enough enriched uranium for one weapon, 3 weeks away from having 10.
Okay, just because they say it makes it true.
When President Trump says it, you can take it to the bank, and he did.
Okay, so we can say President Trump also said that a hurricane was going to change directions on a map because he drew it with a Sharpie.
But he didn't say or do that. You're making things up.
Yes, he did. It's on national.
Oh, that he could change the direction of a hurricane with a Sharpie? If he said that, he was joking.
What he did on national.
Oh, okay. So
so
this is interesting. So not only do you use racist terminology describing black people, you also have no sense of humor. You're great. Listen, I got to run for the break, but I appreciate the call.
Have a great day.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That might be the best call of the week. I haven't heard somebody use that word in a long, long time. Listen, if you or someone you know is suffering from neuropathy, call Lighthouse Medical. You know, Steve had his neuropathy treatment. It'll be 3 years. I think it's 3 years this month. Actually, it's either this month or next month. It'll be 3 years since Steve went to Lighthouse Medical to have his neuropathy treated. And they rid him of his neuropathy symptoms, and here we are 3 years later, it has not returned. Lighthouse Medical has a treatment for neuropathy that works, and it's a treatment that lasts. The numbness, the pain, the burning, the tingling in the hands and feet, the dizziness, the loss of balance, the feeling of pins and needles in the hands and feet. No feeling at all gone. Steve had all those symptoms. Give them a call. Now, they can help you no matter where you're located in the United States, and it's a no-charge consultation if you mention you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. We'll be right back. Hey, Barry, it's Brian. Hey there. Hey, I'm going to put you on hold. Stand by. Okay. We'll be back in about 1 minute. If you're on hold, stand by. Oh my goodness. He doesn't even know that's a racist word. That's crazy. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Radio Show, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How are you today?
I'm doing great. What do you have for us this morning?
Well, what I have for you this morning is, I actually mentioned last week, we're just about done with the first half of the year. So first thing is, have you taken any steps to look at your estate plan, to review it or come in and have it reviewed and potentially make any of those changes that you need to make? Or if you don't have a plan, have you given thought to taking those steps to doing it now? And by the way, now is a great time when we're out of season. During season, it's going to be a lot harder to get a time to come in. You can schedule a time to come in without having to wait weeks to get in. So if it's something you want to do, you could probably get in within a week or two and get the process started. And it all starts with just calling and scheduling a free consultation. And that consultation will allow us to meet with you and to learn what your goals are, your family situation, financial situation, and then be able to come up with a plan that works for you. And the goal is to have a plan that works not just today. It's really designed to work at the time that you need it, at the time that, God forbid, there's an incapacity issue, or, of course, the time that we're no longer here.
Yeah.
So I'd say now is a great time to get started. If you haven't taken care of your New Year's resolution to get this done or updated, and right now when the snowbirds are away, it's a good time to do it.
Absolutely. And I just want to tell those of you in the audience how we met Attorney Barry Siegel years ago. What Barry is talking about here is having your documents reviewed, which the Siegel Law Group will do at no charge, and you recommend people do that every 3 years. By the way, that's a will or a trust. Even if it was put together by another attorney or law firm, the Siegel Law Group will review it at no charge. But Steve had found he had a revocable living trust done many years before we met you, Attorney Barry Siegel. And he had a financial planner, was going over his stuff, and found that Steve's trustee was no longer living. And he didn't have a secondary trustee. And Steve had a whole bunch of grandchildren born that had not even been conceived when he had that trust done. And there were some divorces that took place and remarriages and everything. What would have happened with Steve Kane's family if he passed away and his trustee was dead, and all these people were cut out because they weren't even alive when he put the trust together? What would have happened, Barry?
Well, I mean, it would have been a mess, first of all, just a total mess. Now, most trusts have language in it that would say that if there is no named trustee available, they're gone, they pass, whatever it may be, that there's essentially a formula or a way that would determine who the next trustee would be. Typically, it's going to be by vote by the beneficiaries of the trust. But and then, of course, any issues with the beneficiaries, that would just be a total mess there.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's why it's so important to review your estate plan, because you may have done something that made total sense years ago, but then things change, just like you
That's right.
Steve's story. Things
That's
change.
right.
In this case, many things, including the trustee was no longer living, and there was only one trustee.
Oof.
So that's when it's time to revisit and take a look at the situation, reassess who would be the best choice, because sometimes even the people that you have named, even if they're still living, they may have, obviously they're older, and they may be at a point where you might feel that someone younger would be a better option.
That's right. And just on a final note, before we go for the day, it's not unusual, Attorney Barry Siegel, for ex-spouses to inherit, even when someone maybe even remarried, because people don't update these documents. That happens quite often, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, and that can happen in a couple of different circumstances. One, I see this sometimes where people don't even realize that their ex-spouse is their named beneficiary in their documents. So that, of course, needs to be reviewed, and unless that's what somebody really wants, which most of the time it isn't, they need to change that. And then, of course, the whole issue with the ex-spouses of our beneficiaries and the importance of having bloodline protection in your documents so that your assets don't end up going to your child's future ex-spouse.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, listen, give Attorney Barry Siegel a call. It's a no-charge in-office consultation with the Siegel Law Group. If you mention you heard Attorney Barry Siegel on the program, here's the number, toll-free, 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782, and online, SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, we'll talk later in the week.
All right, thank you so much, Brian.
All right, take care. All right, so a lot of breaking news going on. I'm going to go back to the phones. The state of the ceasefire, it seems to be up in the air. Iran hit Israel this morning early, and then Israel was going to hit back, and President Trump is fuming. So we're in this breaking news cycle as we speak. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Jack from Sarasota again.
Hey, Jack.
News, I have an apology for you. I was wrong. We ended up attacking Iran. I apologize, for one.
Oh, I didn't even remember you making any predictions on anything on that, but that's okay. Okay,
Well, no.
It takes a big man to admit they were wrong.
Also, I did hear that there was a ceasefire with a tweet, but then again, there was another tweet that said that we were back on.
Yep.
And then there was another tweet that said that we were done. It's great watching you kind of flip-flop today.
There's no flip-flopping. We're covering breaking news. This is What we talk about on this program is news and things that are in the news. And right now, we're in the middle of a breaking news situation. So what am I doing that's wrong? I'm discussing it as it's a developing story.
Well, let me ask you this: where does it say in the Constitution that it's okay for Donald Trump to go bomb another country without Congress's?
I'm not a constitutional scholar, neither are you. So we're not going to sit here and debate the Constitution, but we have not declared war. Excuse me. The United States has not declared war since the Second World War. And since then, we've been involved in all kinds of conflicts, from things as small and as quick as Grenada to Iraq and Afghanistan and Vietnam and Korea. And, the list goes on and on. If you and I tried to put together a list, we could sit here till 9 o'clock and we'd probably still leave some off.
I'm assuming that you support our troops, right?
Yes, I support our troops. Hold on, don't. I mean, what are you trying to walk me down a garden path? You think me? I mean, what are you doing here? What's the point? Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say this? Donald Trump not only put 40 to 50,000 troops in the area in danger when he did what he did, he also put us in danger too. Because there's at least 1,000 sleeper cells that just got activated that are potentially going to harm thousands more.
So let me get this straight. I just want to get you on the record here. You think Iran, the world would have been better, and President Trump should have let them develop their nuclear bomb?
I think the world would have been better if we would have tried to sign a peace treaty with them instead of him.
He did. Yesterday, he was trying to get them together to sign off on a permanent ceasefire and maybe a permanent treaty. But it wasn't a tweet. It was a post to Truth Social.
It was a post to whatever he posted to.
But what's the? Hold on. Slow down about that. Slow down. You say this in a way with a tweet. It's like mockery. You think that's funny. You think that's what's funny about that?
No, I think it's stupid.
Why?
That's what the president's doing.
What would be a more appropriate way for him to communicate with the American people?
I thought we were talking about international policy.
He didn't do international policy. He's not doing international policy on Truth Social. When he's doing things in private, and then when something develops and happens or an agreement's reached, he posts it on social media. And social media is we talk about Twitter, which is now X, or True Social, which is really where he does most of his posting, his own platform. Social media is in 2025 what television was in 1960. It's the place people go for news and information.
But you're telling me that he magically made an agreement with these different countries by sending who? Marco Rubio?
No, nobody was sent. They have these things called telephones and maybe in Zoom calls and such. President Trump, since you're following President Trump on social media, you know this. He was contacted by Iran personally and Israel asking for a ceasefire.
You don't make international agreements through a Zoom call. You should know this, Brian.
Oh, really?
You meet face.
So this is interesting. So you're calling me. I thought you were calling me from Sarasota, Florida. You're calling me from the United Nations, the State Department. Where are you calling me from?
Brian,
you're a diplomat?
You know that I'm right, and you can't stand it.
What do you write about?
You know that.
What do you write about?
We already had a peace agreement with Iran. They were
violating their agreement. Listen, I gotta run for the bottom of the hour, but appreciate the call though. Appreciate the call. Oh my goodness. It's the Steve Kane Show. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. I was talking in the last hour. My wife got me a new belt, a Trump belt for Father's Day. And the belt didn't fit. It was too big because she had bought the belt a long time ago. She saw it and she bought it from the official Trump store. It's a Trump belt. It's a beautiful belt. And she got it for me like months ago. And then Father's Day came a couple weeks back. I put the belt on. It didn't fit. It didn't fit. It fell down to the floor because I've lost so much weight thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Isn't that amazing? And we sent the belt back last week, and they already sent me the new one that fits perfectly. I have lost inches and inches and inches off of my waist. You know, a lot of people, when they're losing weight, they measure, and I've just been measuring by my clothes not fitting, but I couldn't believe when the belt that I put on was so big, it was like a hula hoop, you know? It was like a hula hoop. But I got the right size belt now, thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret. That's amazing. And right now, Coastal Weight Loss Secret, they're running an incredible special, the July 4th sale, which is going on right now and will end July 7th. It's 20% off for new patients, 20% off. So give them a call. Make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. The number's 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. We'll be right back. I showed it earlier, guys. I'll show it if I have time. Okay, I'll show you guys the belt. This is the beautiful Trump belt that my wife got me for Father's Day. She got me a cool keychain too that matches it. Isn't that nice? Beautiful belt. Yep. It's an awesome belt. That's right. Okay. We'll be back in just over a minute. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We got this breaking news, the ceasefire, whether it's fallen apart forever, temporarily, or at all, or if there ever was a ceasefire, we really don't know. The president's on a plane right now, And but let me go through some of the latest updates, and this is this is just something. This is in the Daily Mail. A furious Donald Trump cursed at Israel and Iran on live TV this morning, using the F word as he accused both of violating a ceasefire he brokered last night. And I got to tell you, I've never seen Trump so visibly angry. He was fuming, and he had good reason to be angry. You know, he set everything up perfectly. He took out the nuclear facility. They can't build their bombs. They can't have their nuke weapons. They went back yesterday and took out their ability to rebuild the structure. He got a ceasefire agreement by both sides, and they blew it. Probably in large part, it had to do with lunatics on both sides that are. I mean, look at the lunatics we have in this country. We have some that want the Iranians to develop a nuke. We have a lot of others. No new wars. Let them have their nuke. I mean, it's just nuts. There were people in this country who were upset at the president for taking out the nuclear weapon. I mean, it's been a bad situation. And this is what I can't play the soundbite because of the F-bomb. And while I'm live on the air, I can't bleep it out. But I'll read it. President Trump said, quote, he was heading, by the way, he was getting on Marine One to get on Air Force One to fly to the Netherlands for the NATO summit, right? This is the president, quote, we've got two countries who've been fighting so long and so hard, they don't know what the F they're doing, he said as he stormed onto Marine One. Yeah, that's an accurate description. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, John Lake, and it's Michigan.
All right, John in Michigan. What's up?
So a few days ago, you said I was dumb because I heard rumblings that we were going to war.
I have no recollection of the call.
I just wanted to give you some accountability.
I doubt I said you were. I don't remember speaking with you. I don't remember our conversation, but I don't think I would not have called you dumb because you said something like that. If I called you dumb, which I may have done, if I called you dumb, I'm sure it had something to do with something stupid you said. It wasn't just that.
You just need to get Israel out of your mouth, and that's all I wanted to say.
What?
I'm so glad Trump is seeing the light.
You want what?
So glad Trump is seeing the light.
Oh, you hate Jews. Oh, okay.
My tax dollars blow
Your
up
tax
my tax dollars.
Your tax dollars?
Right?
Oh, you're a big income tax payer? Oh, he hung up on that point. He didn't want to tell us. Does that sound like a guy who's paying income tax? Payroll taxes, that's for you, man. That's for your Medicare and Social Security. That's not the same as income tax. If you're on hold, hang in there. Does anybody remember, did I call that guy dumb? And what did he really say that I called him dumb for, if I called him dumb? I must have had I do not trust him at his word. Back to the Daily Mail. The Israel-Iran ceasefire agreement appears to be in tatters. That's an understatement. Just hours after coming into effect, with the warring arch enemies accusing one another of launching strikes almost immediately after they agreed to stop their tit-for-tat attacks. Israel said earlier today it was preparing to respond forcefully to the breach, saying it would launch intensive strikes on the heart of the Iranian capital. But Trump publicly warned against it, against them targeting Tehran, saying on Truth Social, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do, it is a major violation. Reports have since emerged that Israel carried out a small strike north of Tehran, with claims that it scaled back its planned attack after Trump called Netanyahu to warn him against it. Okay, so they dropped a few, but not as many as they were. Trump had told the warring sides to not violate the ceasefire last night, declaring that it marked a new chapter of world peace, no doubt. He has since insisted that the ceasefire remains in effect. It's a mess. It's a mess. All right, let's go back to our phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello. My name is Will. I'm from Tampa, Florida.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You said you're sorry?
I hate Tampa. I hate Tampa.
Why?
It's a dump.
Why?
It's a dump.
It's not that bad. Look, hey, Florida's big, man.
Yeah, I know. But my part of Florida is nicer. Anyway, what's on your mind?
Oh, well, I was just curious, man. Like, where's your, like, where do you stand on this whole Iran-Israel kind of thing? You see, like from my perspective, man.
Yeah.
Israel has become like a pariah state, in my opinion. And
what does that mean? Wait, you say they're what does that mean? What do you mean by that? Because you don't like Jews, you think everybody hates them?
Oh, no, not even remotely that.
Well, Israel is the Jewish state. So if you hate Israel, you hate Jews.
They represent all Jews. Like there's Jews that live all across the planet. Israel hasn't existed for that long.
Israel has existed for most of time, right? Jews have been in the land of Israel for thousands of years.
Now, the question I have is that, and the reason why I brought up, a pariah state, is because, Israel, Netanyahu, there's plenty of clips that are online of him going out on TV saying, like, hey, Iran is 2 weeks away from a nuclear bomb. Mm-hmm. And literally, it's been like almost 20 years where he's been saying this.
Well, I don't know if he's been saying 2 weeks away for 20 years, but so what? Trump told us they were a week away, and I believe Trump.
Well, that's the thing, though. You see, like, beforehand, we had the Iran deal, and like Trump had like ripped up that deal.
Well, that wasn't a deal. Do you know what the Iran deal was?
It was a deal that was specifically like made so like Iran wouldn't.
No. Okay. No. Obama. Okay. By the way, the Prophet Muhammad had a horse that he was sitting upon when he rose up into heaven. Do you know what the name of Muhammad's horse was that he rose to heaven on?
No, the Beirut of that part, I don't know.
Oh, I know. Listen to this. Muhammad's horse that he ascended to heaven on, the horse's name was Barak. I'm serious. Look it up. I'm serious. Barak. Yeah. Just like Barak. That's Obama's first name, right? So no. Here was what the Iran deal was. We had unlimited. I mean, just billions upon billions of dollars in American banks that were Iranian bank. Hold on a second. That were Iranian bank accounts where the money was frozen in 1979 when they took our embassy. Obama gave them billions of that money with interest on big cargo jets in cash. So Barack just sent them cargo planes filled with unmarked bills. What kind of deal is that?
Well, when it comes down to Obama and his legacy and stuff like that, that's like a whole other topic. But like what I wanted just to know, I'm not even trying to really debate. I just was curious about, because you are a Trump supporter, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, like I just wanted to know, like you're because I would say, I have some lefty friends, I have some conservative friends.
Yeah, well, what are you? What are you?
Well, I'm not really that political.
Yeah, you are.
I do keep up with the times.
But who'd you vote for in the last election?
I didn't vote for either.
Oh my! Who'd you vote for? Who'd you vote for?
I didn't vote for either one.
Did you vote at all? You didn't vote. Are you? What is your ethnicity?
Oh, I'm Hispanic.
You're Hispanic?
I'll be honest about that.
What do you mean be honest? Why would you lie about that?
I feel like some people, especially in Tampa, like, some people just are really weird out here. I feel like some people just don't even know what they are.
But I mean, think about this. Where's your family from originally?
I'm from Puerto Rican descent, but what I just wanted to...
Slow down a second here. Okay, you're Puerto Rican. Okay, slow down a second. Do you know, Puerto Ricans have died so that they could have the right to vote on who their leader is, right? The Puerto Rican independence fighters, right? So people have died that are Puerto Rican just because they want to have the right to vote on who their leader is. And in Puerto Rico, you can't vote in the presidential election, right? Because it's a territory. You can't vote. And here you have a right that Puerto Ricans have died to try to get And you don't bother? You can't be bothered? What were you too busy doing on election day that you don't even participate?
No, okay, that's like a whole other thing. I just wanted to know your perspective on the Iran situation because,
I support President. I always support President Trump, but I support him in taking out their nuclear weapon, and I support Israel.
Iran really did have like a nuclear weapon.
They were close. They were close to having it. They were close to having it. They were a week away from having enough uranium to have a nuclear weapon, and they were 3 weeks away from having enough to weaponize 10, according to the president. Listen, I gotta run, but I appreciate the call. See, this is why I don't like Tampa, filled with liberals. All right, take care. Take care. I do, though, want to tell you that if you're tossing and turning all night long, that means you haven't gotten your MyPillow. The MyPillow, the patented fill invented by Mike Lindell, what that patented fill does is when you put your head down at night, your head and neck rest perfectly, and you don't toss and turn or flip your pillow around. And it doesn't matter how you sleep, whatever your sleep style is, right? If you sleep on your back, if you sleep on your right side, if you sleep on your left side, if you sleep on your stomach, that patented fill keeps your head and neck in place, so you're not tossing and turning. That's the beauty of the patented fill. And right now, with our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, there's such an incredibly good deal. It's time to stock up and get a MyPillow for every bed in your house. They also make great gifts for your family members outside the house. But they're just $17.98 with our promo code KANE. I got my first MyPillow about 10 years ago. I paid $65 for the same pillow that you can get for $17.98. It's the exact same pillow. And you know what? A decade later, I'm still sleeping on that same pillow because everything Mike Lindell makes is high quality. So go to MyPillow.com, sleep better, and sleep like you've never slept before. Get your MyPillow, just $17.98 with our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, at MyPillow.com. You can also order toll-free 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. We'll be right back. All right, so if you're on hold, hang in there. Tomorrow I'll be at the radio station, guys. Hey there, hold on. All right, and we are back. It's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how are the metals looking today?
Metals looking like they're going to give us a buying opportunity today.
Awesome.
We don't get those very often, but we did get a pullback. Yesterday, we saw gold trade in a range of 33.48 all the way up to 33.94, and then closed at 33.68, which was only up $1 on the day. Silver gained 10 cents yesterday, closing at $36.03 the ounce, while platinum was up $28 at $12.93, and palladium gained $30 at $1,074. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a low of 33.03, again testing that $3,300 support area, and as high as 33.71. Right now, gold's at 33.08. That's down $60. Silver down 40 cents at $35.63. Platinum down $3 at $1,290. And palladium down $14 at $1,060. So the market's giving us a little bit of a pullback.
on confusion as to exactly where a lot of things are going politically and economically. So we're waiting on developments concerning the Fed rates as well as the war situation, and pretty much testing the same lows that we've seen. The trading range remains intact, 3,300 on the low to about 3,500 on the high.
Yeah, so I mean, this is all great news, because what William Jungmann just told you all, the metals are on sale, and we all love a good sale. This is the time to get in. William Jungmann opens up at 10 a.m. You can stop in. He's located at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto. And when you go inside the building, William Jungmann's shop is right across from the bank in the lobby there. You can give him a call, toll free, 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. And find both his phone number and address on his website, williamjungerman.com. All right, William Jungmann, we'll touch base tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day.
You too. Take care. Take care. All right back to our phones on this very busy breaking news day. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. Hello.
Yes. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
IB and Brow. Hey, Brother Brian. Hey, listen, you Democrat morons. It doesn't matter if it's 1 second or 10 years away from getting a nuclear weapon. The fact that they had this big old build-up in a mountain, it takes excavation. We knew this from satellite a long time ago under Brock. Okay? So we already know their intentions. It doesn't matter. The fact that they already bombed Israel have to have a shield over their bodies, have bunkers, and never knowing if they're going to get hit any second or the next day, and they have to live their lives this way, and then you guys are worrying about they don't have it. Oh, we don't know they don't have it. It doesn't matter. Enough of them threatening, and they have the facility in which to do it. And I was wrong about 2 bombs. They needed 4 bombs and not 2. So I was wrong on the number.
No, they went back. What happened was they went back yesterday to take out the infrastructure and things in the area so they can't rebuild it.
Of course. That's what Trump's intention was. Remember, I talked about the war and the electricity. He told the people to get out. No other person will warn people to get out of the place they're going to bomb. That's how good we are. That's how nice we are. And then you Democrats still want to protect these people. The fact that they threatened us, they did the October 6th to snatch kids, snatch people, and you guys are worrying about if they're going to do it or if they don't going to do it. Well, what is the point of having the facility? Marco Rubio already told you guys. They already have the material there. The IEA said already that, hey, we already inspected it. It doesn't matter that they didn't live up to their plan. And as for these idiots calling about January 6th, Trump already has a special prosecutor that's going to work on that. And
well, by the way, President Trump, I didn't want to get sidetracked with that because we have breaking news and they wanted us to talk about anything, but Liz Cheney's Kangaroo Committee cleared Trump of any involvement or wrongdoing on January 6th. The Chris Wray FBI cleared Trump of any wrongdoing on January 6th. So I don't know what they're talking about here.
What's not being talked about because of this war? Well, it's not really a war because there's no troops on the ground. It's a bombing. It's a skirmish, technically. And Trump has 60 days that he does not have to tell Congress in any engagement he does it anywhere in the globe. After 60 days, he has to tell Congress. But he was courteous to do it with Schumer.
Well, yesterday, they told Schumer, and Hakeem Jeffries, the Democrat leader in the House, didn't answer his phone, according to Caroline Leavitt yesterday.
I cannot.
And I'm very curious. Caroline Leavitt said yesterday, Hakeem Jeffries didn't answer the phone. And I'm very curious, what was Hakeem Jeffries doing on Saturday that he was so busy he didn't take a call from the White House? What was he doing, and who was he with? I'm curious. Who would not take that call?
Their plan now is to muddy the water, like Trump didn't follow the rules. Trump has 60 days not to tell Congress if he doesn't want to. That's why he gave Iran 61 days to make sure that it was legit. The Supreme Court already voted for everything that those hidden judges are trying, and that even the Supreme Court is shutting them down, including Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, IB, I appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Now, I want to tell you, the situation. This is an interesting thing. This is obviously a very developing situation, and things in the Middle East are changing every moment, right? But it already looks like President Trump, even with hostilities picking back up, has cooled things off a little bit. We'll find out when he lands in the Netherlands and see what he says, and we'll get some more information as the day goes on. But you gotta be a little patient here. What President Trump is doing, trying to negotiate a ceasefire with these two people, listen to just the callers I've had over the last 3 hours on this program. I remember the first call of the day was Jeff from Maine, who's a very good caller. I like Jeff. And he is a MAGA guy. There's no questioning Jeff from Maine's MAGA loyalties. But he was the first call of the day. And you've heard all day long incredible division. It's almost nonpartisan. It's almost like liberals and some MAGA people are agreeing on these things in Israel with Iran in many instances. So you hear the anger, you hear the passion just with people in our own country. Imagine what's going on in Israel and Iran, where they've been fighting at each other's throats forever and a day, right? I mean, so it's very difficult to get peace going with people that are in that mindset. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, how's it going? I'm Baseman, calling out of Oklahoma.
Hey, Oklahoma.
Recently turned Trump supporter as of August of last year.
Welcome to the MAGA movement.
Thanks, man. Feel very welcome here. Very happy with my choice. Very concerned with China's influence with what's going on in the Middle East. Also, the Russian influence, and I don't think they're talking about it enough. The port of Hormuz is being threatened to shut down, and that would affect China in a very huge way. And they don't seem to be outraged about this.
Well, China, the thing about, listen, before we move on from that, China and them, China, and this goes for Russia too. Hold on a second. China and Russia are just trying to be relevant. There's a party going on, and they want everybody to know they're there. So they're just injecting themselves. I wouldn't read too much into either of those. They're just trying to sound important, like Russia and China want to sound like they're superpowers in the world, when they're not. That's what's going on. Make sense?
Well, I can definitely understand that. I don't think that they could ever touch us, military-wise or anything like that. But what I think they can do is try to throw off the world trade with oil, with all types of things. And I think they know that we are the biggest consumers, and we would implode as a country. We see what's happening now with us just trying to.
I want to ask you a question, though. You said you became a Trump supporter last year. What was the main issue that got you to wake up and get red-pilled and magnetized?
Oh, I voted for Joe Biden in 2020.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I watched them hold women's rights hostage. I watched him recalibrate foreign policy in the Middle East after we had the Houthis in check, after we had Iran in check. I watched him raise our prices with the Inflation Reduction Act. After it's the whole story, man. With the
that's awesome. No, hey, listen, you're on the winning team now. You're on when I was growing up, the Dallas Cowboys were known as America's team. I know people still call them that, but they really aren't. MAGA is America's team. So welcome to America's team, Team America.
Feels great, man. Feels great. Just prayers for the country, man. And I really want Trump to have some success in this Middle East situation. I think the rest of the world is watching. I think if he can get this done, then we'll see Russia and Ukraine also fall in line.
Mm-hmm. All right. Take care, man. Good to hear from you. Call again sometime. Good caller. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. This is Vivi from Central Florida. I just want to share one thing is I really admire, I love how President Trump calls out leaders, calls out anybody for what they do. And I think that's a wonderful thing. He calls them out.
Well, there's been all these people that have been, like Candace Owens types, that have been telling their audiences that Trump's controlled by Israel. He's controlled by the Jews. He just dropped an F-bomb towards Netanyahu in Israel, okay, before he got on Marine One. Right. I think that narrative, they need to come up with a new narrative. I mean, he was. I'm telling you, he's not happy with either side, but he was fuming. When you're betrayed by your friends, that's the worst, right?
Yes, absolutely. And he calls them out, and that's the beauty of it. You know, he calls them.
And I mean, and look at everything that President Trump has done for Israel and for Netanyahu personally. He's treated him so well, done so much. He moved the embassy to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv. You know, I mean, and he's backed Israel. He supplied them with everything. He's had Netanyahu at his home. I remember Netanyahu flew into town to go to Mar-a-Lago during the campaign. You know, and then he does this. Come on.
That's right. So I'm glad that he's a man of righteous and he likes things right, and I'm glad he calls them out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
well, listen, thank you for your call.
You're welcome.
All right.
Have a great day.
All right, take care. Well, we're winding down for today, but we'll be back tomorrow at 6. I love doing a show like this where it's just breaking, developing news all the way through. It's exciting. I really enjoy it. I didn't get to any of my show prep, which is fine. I'll get to my show prep on my podcast, which you should all listen. You know, the Brian Craig Show podcast is on all podcast platforms. All podcast platforms, okay? Just search for The Brian Craig Show, and I'm there. I'm even on Audible, where the books are. I'm everywhere, okay? So just search for The Brian Craig Show on all podcast platforms. Great calls today, lots of passion. My name is Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, the Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. We'll be back tomorrow at 6, and everything we talked about today will have changed 30 times at least before we're back at 6 a.m. This is I can't wait for the president to land and start talking to reporters again. See you tomorrow, 6 a.m. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. Everyone who's new, welcome to the program. If you're new, I'll just tell you real quick. I live stream every day of the week, Monday through Friday from 6 till 9 a.m. I host a radio show that's on a whole bunch of radio stations. And I live stream on YouTube when I'm on the radio. So the callers you're hearing, some of them are YouTube watchers from around America and the world. Some are listening on the radio. Some are listening on different audio feeds that carry the radio station. And I also upload my podcast to my YouTube channel here, and I'm always doing live streams at random times all the time, no matter where I am. So this is where MAGA comes to talk. My name is Brian Craig. Thanks,